Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Andrews. In our last video, we briefly brushed on how to set up the environment for this network scanner project. We passed one argument for the targets, so we at least have an idea of how to create, how to interact between the CLI and our program. Okay, so this time around, we want to know how to check for active devices, OS detection, using the TTL of the response that we get, and then based on the MAC address, we find the manufacturer. So let's quickly dive into it. We are going to use Scapy. Scapy allows you to create IP packets, Ethernet frames for layer 2, layer 3, anything in any way. You can even send a UDP request, TCP, ICMP, ARP request, and all those things. So in order for us to know that the device is active or the devices can be reached, we can talk to the device. At least that's the first step in pen testing, to talk to the device. Okay, so in most tutorials they use address resolution protocol, but I understand address resolution protocol that assuming assuming this is assuming this machine has a MAC address and wants to know it has an IP address, sorry, and wants to know the MAC address. What it does is it has an IP address, it sends it out and then asks for, hey, what is the MAC address of this? And then if there's a router or a switch, it responds with, and if it has an app table, it responds with a if it has an app table that records the MAC address for the IP, it responds with the IP address, or whatever device on the network that has that particular IP address responds, hey, I'm here, this is my MAC address, and all those things. So it assumes that you are part of the local area network. But I am thinking, what if you're not part of the local area network? What if you are scanning a machine, a remote machine? Okay, so ICMP will be the best choice, because whether you're on a local network, you're on a remote machine, wherever you are, ICMP can reach you. As long as you're out there, you can be talked to. All right, so let's get into it. And then in our last video, we managed to, yes, as I've said, create an argument processor, validate the IP addresses, and process the IP addresses to, if you have that, the user enters a network range or IP address on some subnet max. Okay, so let's let's move on to creating a function to check for active devices. So yeah, active devices IP bad naming, right? So to do that, the first thing we will need to do is to craft a packet using Scapy. So we will create the Ethernet frame, we will create the IP frame, and then we will give it the destination. Right, so the destination can be self.targets. Okay, so the target that we process, that will be the destination, the whole destination. All right, so self.targets. Let me, because we know it will be a list, so I'm trying to just let us test it on just one. Okay, we just want to test it on one IP, and then later on generalize it for a whole range of IP addresses. So on one IP this, okay, and we know it is going to be a list from the previous video, so we are just indexing that, the first one. All right, and then the protocol, it will be TCP, as I said, or ICMP, as I said in my previous explanation. So ICMP, we're going to use ICMP protocol, and then the response, we are going to send and receive packet. We will receive one. Let's send our packet. The timeout will be 3, and okay, let's leave it like, let's just leave it. Okay, and that if you get a response, if indeed we get a response, then let's just print print and then f, oh, f string, oh my goodness. So self dot targets, we will print is alive or active. Okay, and then return. So if not it, then we print down or unreachable. Okay, that's what we want to do. And let's call this function active IP addresses. Let's just call it without assigning it anything because we are not returning anything. Cell dot active ICMP. So during our initialization, we are performing all these activities. Let's run it then. Okay, we are getting cell dot target. Let's check cell dot target. Cell dot target is a generator. Oh, I forgot that cell dot target is a generator. Okay, so that will mean I will change this. I'll make it IP and then say IP for I for I cell dot target. If you remember, that was we created it so that we're able to process all the IP. We created a generator function so that we're able to process all the IP addresses and then get a list of them. Right, so that's why we are having this issue. But if you decide to now use the subnet marks and all those things, you will see the benefits of using that generator. So let's run it. Okay, so it's sending packet out. Alright. So it was down, it was unreachable. That's surprising because this should be IP, but this should be IP. Okay. Let's run it again and see. It's down and can't be reached. It's surprising. 192.168 or 68, so it is correct. It is correct that it can't reach it. 168.168.227.3. So yes. 192.168.227.3 still can't be reached. Okay, so I run it again. I pause and I just run it again and it's not working. I don't know why. So as you can see, we can reach it and it's alive, so we can add it. We can have, let me just comment this out. We can sort of have some form of container, a dictionary or a list or something and just add it to it. Okay, so let's just change this and just say that we are on 28 28 and so now I want to test it for a group. It should still work. It should still work fine, I believe. It should still work fine. Let me. This is just to help me print hello, so that I leave a breakpoint here and then test if anything happens or check the results. Okay, so we didn't get any response. So let me send and receive more than one. So, okay, so even if we pass okay. So I get it because we are indexing it. That's why it's not passing the whole thing. Because you are indexing it, that's why it's not passing the whole thing. So let's just remove the index and then scan it and see. So now we are getting this error warning. MAC address to reach destination not found using broadcast. A very annoying error. Okay, so let's go back and stick to print hello. You stick to this. But this time around, what we are going to do is we will have to loop through. You have to loop through them. So we say for IP in IPs, and then for IP, so sorry, for IP in IPs, perform these functions, perform the following. I don't think I need to print over here. Maybe we need to print hello. So let's see. Oh, I have written here, so it's told immediately get one. No, no, no. Let's change this to continue. So we managed to test it for only one IP. Now we are trying to make it work for multiple IPs. So we create a packet, we send it. If there's a response, and then if there's no response, we'll print unreachable. Okay, so all right, so let's take a look at some of the response that it is printing out. So the down can't be reached is active, which is our host machine. 2 is active. I don't know what 2 is though. 3 is the metasploitable, and I think 4 is, let's check. Yes, 4 is this Kali machine, and then 5. What is 5? This is 3. I don't know what 5 is. I'm surprised. I don't know what 5 is, but it's saying 5 is active and alive. But 6 is down. 5 might be a device that I don't know. I can't. Have I seen it somewhere? 7 is also down. Reachable 8. Okay, so the rest I don't expect them to even exist. Alright, so this is how we able to check. So now what we need to do is immediately they are alive, we want to add them to some form of a list and then ignore the rest that we can't reach. Okay, so we will set variables equal false. We don't want all that output coming out, and then we don't want to. Okay, so let's create a variable called active IP, which is an empty list, and then yes. Okay, so now we know how to check it. I don't want us to append it just yet because there are a lot of information here that we will need. The hardware, the MAC addresses, and all those things. We need all those information from there. Okay, so we are going to go on ahead. Let's call return over here now. And then what we are going to do is let's create another function. Let's create another function that we are going to call. So the purpose of that function is to use the TTL to estimate what's the let's make this a static method. We are going to use the TTL to estimate what the IPI, what the operating system will be. There are some I think I've already opened that before. Let's see. So there are different TTL values for different operating systems. It is not concrete, it is not a very solid plan, but it gives us a clue of if the TTL is 64 and below, it might be Linux or Unix based, and then 128 is Windows and 254 is Solaris. So using the Scapy OS fingerprinting, I got errors and it wasn't working in this project. So if you manage to get it to work, please leave a comment in the comment section. I'll be very glad to learn from you. Okay, so you want to let's say OS is equal to cell.os fingerprinting, and then we will pass this result data to that function, and we will just if the payload, okay, the TTL is less than or equal to 64. Why am I passing the ball? Let me just say payload dot TTL, just the number alone. So I'll call the TTL bar. So just the TTL value. So TTL bar is less than or equal to 64. Then return Linux. Very simple. Please, this is not solid. I know. Else if TTL bar is equal to 128, then return Windows. Else if TTL bar is equal to 254, return Solaris. Else return unknown. Okay. Else we don't know what you are. We don't know where you are. Okay, else return unknown, and then you will get the OS, right? I know it's not solid, but that's what you're going to use. Okay, we'll later on check to find out. The next step is we want to determine the manufacturer based on the MAC address of the machine. So we are going to use a library called manuf in Python, which uses Wireshark's OUI database. Okay, so that's the library we are going to use, and then it tells you what device or who the manufacturer is. Okay, so let's create another function. Let's create another function that we are going to call manufacturer, and we'll just pass the MAC address. Let's make that to a static method. Okay. Before that, we will need to import. Have we installed manuf? I don't think so. So then we install. I know this is not Pythonic, but I was having issues previously as I was doing this project. So I believe now we have manuf installed. So import manuf. Okay. So the first thing that we will need to do is we will need a MAC address. So let's see MAC address will be. We can get a MAC address from the response that we got with the packet that we sent out there. So the MAC address will be that the response the source. So it will be in the source of that, and then the manufacturer will be equal to self.manufacturer, and then we pass the MAC address to it. And then when we come over here, what we are going to do is we are going to create a handler for the parser that we are going to use, and the update will be equal to false. If you set it to true, it will always update the database of the manuf library for the Wireshark OUI database, and that will take some time, so we don't want that. So what? Okay, so what we are going to do next is, what if this is not? What if you don't get any MAC address over here? I doubt that will be the case, but what if you don't get any MAC address? So to be safe, let's just say if MAC, or let's say if not MAC, then please just return that. Okay, but if that doesn't happen, then let's just get ourselves the manufacturer. So we want the long name of the manufacturer, and then we pass the MAC address to it. Okay, So there are cases that we might not find a manufacturer in the database and that we will get none. Okay, so if that's the case, then we want to return unknown, not none. We want to return unknown, we don't know it. If M is none, okay, else please return M. That's what we are saying. So we are saying return unknown if there was no manufacturer, but else if there is a manufacturer, just return that manufacturer. That's what we want, and that's what we will get over here. Okay, that's what we will get over here. All right. Instead of printing just this, let's now print out an output containing all this information. So let's say print F. Oh, why do I keep saying print F? Okay, F string, and then we will let's say IP. And then we will print the MAC address, and then we will print probably the manufacturer. And then let's print the OS. Okay, so that'll be it. So let's run it. So we have some errors. So the name MAC is not defined. If not MAC, oh no, if not MAC address. Okay, if not MAC address. Okay, so we are getting some response. So we have that our host machine is telling us it's unknown. Okay, I don't know what this is, whether it's the gateway or it might be the gateway. Let me check. What will you give me? Okay, so let's check our network adapter. We have we have the server address to be this. Okay. So that will be the gateway, and it's claiming it's Solaris. So we have a pretty good output for this. All right, guys, that will be. We will no longer need to print this. And so we want all the active IPs with their information. So what we are going to do is we just create a dictionary, and then let's append it active IP dot append, and then let's create a dictionary. So the dictionary will have the IP address as the key, and then another dictionary. This is funny. Another dictionary containing, so you have OS mapping to the OS. Okay, we have the MAC, mapping to the MAC. Okay, we have the key mapping to the manufacturer, and that is perfect. So thanks guys for sticking around, and I will see you in the next step of the project, which is the measure part. We will now be talking about how to get the open pause, the services, and the banners. Okay, thank you and stay safe. Bye.